So today I was trying to get some footage of surfing. I just needed like 2 clips, and I'd had them. I already had the 2 best clips. We're going to be featured in this commercial for Lagoon Pontoons, but I broke the drone. I ran right into a surfer with the thing. Like whenever I start to get momentum, I just feel like whatever I touch just turns to dust. It's like if I own a machine, it's just going to break. It's a wonder my violins have never broken. I don't understand how that happened. I'm just like the anti-Midas touch. Whatever I touch just turns to dust. And again, it's like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be trying to be positive and not be so negative with myself. You know, when they say something keeps happening over and over and over, you got to look at the common denominator. And it just seems like the common denominator is me.
You know, part of the problem of doing this in YouTube in the moment is that it is very unpolished and it's just kind of all over the place, very ADD. You know, I do apologize for just how spastic it is all over the place, but at the same time I kind of don't, because this is what it's like to be in the mind of someone who feels like they're going mad. I think one of the problems that I have is I'm always trying to force the pieces into place and trying to take responsibility for every single thing that happens in my life, take the blame and the credit. And the problem with that is that's not human existence. We are limited. We're not meant to be islands. And we are meant to interact. And, you know, a lot of what has kind of kept me sane in the last year and a half is doing things I didn't want to do. My son had a field day today. And I was like, golly, I totally forgot about it. I was just going to leave. And I just ended up having a conversation with one of my former violin students' moms. And we talked Indian food, we talked cricket, we talked Thai food. It was really refreshing. And it just was not something I expected to happen. And I ran into one of my old buddies I went to elementary school with, and we had a good conversation. And so that's one of the things that I think I want to communicate today is just don't try to force the puzzle pieces together. Quit taking responsibility for everything that comes into your life. Take a deep breath and relax a little bit. I'm just so heightened. I played poker last night with some of the guys that I met on the dock. Like, I won a hand. I'm like, I am the man. And then I lost a hand. I'm like, I'm the biggest idiot of all time. Like 2 all over the place. There's a word, and I feel like there's a psychological term for this. I don't know what it is. The highs are way too high. It's disproportionate response to the victory. All that to say, we just have to take this, like I said at the beginning of this whole enterprise, 1 step at a time. And adding to that, quit trying to force the pieces into place. You're a human being. You're not a god. You can't do it. You can't speak something into existence. We're not magicians. There is no Patronus charm for us. There is no creation ex nihilo from a word. Let there be light. There is no let there be me being sane. You know, you can't just say that and make it happen. There is no name it, claim it, faith healing for this. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. There's no get rich quick scheme in the building a better me process. So just quite trying to force the pieces together. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Another part of not forcing the puzzle pieces into place is not getting rid of the things that you think are maybe distracting you. For the longest time, I've had a difficulty in figuring out where things like surfing or video games, stuff that I really like, I'll just kind of purge out of my life. I just kind of go in these binge purge cycles. I'm like, I'm just surfing, like I'm just a surfer, dude. I'm just a surfer. And then I'll be like, oh, but yeah, when I was surfing, I should have been doing this, getting this work done. And then video games, I'll just be like, I can't play video games anymore. I just got to stop doing this. And I mean, I didn't play for a decade when we were first married. In the last 7 years, I've played quite a few. But it's interesting to see the connections you can make even through things that are extracurricular. And I think a lot of times we will feel guilty about the things that we like to do. But then you end up taking up hobbies that other people like to do, and it doesn't fit you anyway. This last couple weeks, even in spite of the drone fiasco, that day that the drone broke, I went out into the water to get some shots with the GoPro of Red, a guy I went to high school with. And I had more fun filming him surfing than I've had surfing in a long time. I kind of recap, because I would do that when I was in high school. I just totally forgot about that. I kept this little album, photo album of surfing and skimboarding. I love just being out in the water. There's just something about seeing the way waves break up close. I just love that. And it kind of invigorated me. And it was cold water too. I mean, it felt cold. I was doing those exercises this winter, but it still felt really freaking cold because I wasn't wearing my wetsuit. I don't know. It just kind of woke me up and it felt really good. Of course, then I broke the GoPro and the drone an hour later. If there's something that makes you feel alive, don't feel guilty about that, and don't let other people guilt trip you into it. Like, oh, what a nerd, you do that, or oh, why would you waste time? Don't you have? And you know, that certain person who says that, they're playing golf You know, they're playing something else. Even playing poker last night for me was great. I just realized that something's missing. I miss hanging out with these guys. You know, I kind of missed out on that whole side of life as a kid growing up, because I was very I was an artsy fartsy kid. I played violin on Saturdays. I didn't play poker. You know, I didn't get in the mud with guys playing football. And I think that you miss some of that. So if there's something that you resonate with, like, don't just purge it out of your life. Let the puzzle pieces fit together. If you like it and it's not destructive, don't feel that compulsion to get rid of it because the other people around you aren't into that thing. It's been one of the great things about Vitality Pro for me, finding other people who are into this breathing fitness thing that's helping with my surfing. Sometimes I think we have this ideal picture. Maybe it's a guru, maybe it's a saint, maybe it's a entrepreneur that we really admire, and we think our life has to look like their puzzle. Our puzzle has to look like their puzzle. It's never going to fit. You are not that person. Their template for success is going to be very different than yours, and so you keep coming up with these puzzle pieces that just keep coming back in front of you. For surfing is one of them for me. Violin is one of them for me. I'm the surfing violinist. I can't escape it. And so every time I try to, they just kind of, the puzzle pieces just fall right back in front of me. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm making a different puzzle. You're just going to constantly be hitting your head against the wall. So that's one of the other parts of just accepting the reality of your puzzle.
I've been trying to figure out exactly what it is that patrons are paying for. You know, what it is that you're supporting here. I'd thought originally it was just going to be a web series. Then we thought, a documentary, and we've settled with the documentary idea. My goal for the documentary is to make the best documentary I've ever made. And I've made some pretty good short documentaries, I think, on when we were doing the American Indian series, and we made a feature-length documentary that kind of launched this whole endeavor to do more polished videos, not like the ones we're doing now, which are just basically vlogs. The documentary, the feature-length documentary called American Indian, was really just an edited form of a couple years of vlogs. The goal is with Building a Better Me is to take the best moments, the lessons I've learned, to put them in a more cinematic mold, to cut it down, to make the pacing better, because American Indian, the feature-length documentary, they had problems with pacing because it's, you know, 90 minutes or so, but it's at vlog pace, and so it just was real quick cuts, and blah, blah, blah. Like by about 50 minutes in, it feels like too much. Just I'm covering too much ground. It's just kind of all over the place. But I did that was all a post edit. I did very little, and it just took me less than a month to actually cut it together. So with Building Better Me, I'm taking a more proactive approach to it, trying just to film as much as I can of everything, formulate a script as we go along, so that it is going to be more concise, more focused, better pacing than American Indian was. The videos you're seeing right now are just kind of like crap. It's just vlogs. I'm paying for it for vlogs. Well, here's the reason. YouTube is impossible to make money on right now for a channel like mine. The ship has sailed for me on YouTube in terms of making money. So it doesn't even pay for my Adobe Creative Cloud membership. So when you support, you're supporting the channel. You're supporting every part of these endeavors, whether it be Twitch streaming, you know, the interaction, or the feature film, what it takes to make that feature film. So if that's not what you're really looking for, you know, I've got the Patreon link below. You know, feel free to unsub for now. But, you know, if you're benefiting from this, do consider just throwing $1 a month or something towards it. I am going to ask you for that. Because, again, YouTube is not prioritizing content that's actually constructive. And the content on my channel right now, I would say, is not very creative. And we're trying to figure out how to do that, but I'm not there. I'm like, you see me in the car. I'm driving back and forth. My son had a thing today at school. I'm teaching at the same school. We have one car. I'm driving my wife to work. I'm basically a glorified chauffeur. Maybe I should start becoming an Uber driver. I don't know. The priority this year is to build a better me and to document that and to make a documentary that can save people money. One trip to counseling can cost upwards of $100. So for 45 minutes, you're paying for $100. You can buy all these books and books and books and books and all these things. And I mean, you can spend $500 without batting an eye on your mental health, and that'll only get you through a month. And then you add medication costs on top of that. So our goal here is to, you know, to provide a feature-length film, documentary, directed by somebody who's in the midst of this stuff, who actually understands what it's partially like for the crap that they're going through. Not some expert on the outside, but somebody from the trenches who's dealing with it themselves. And then we also want to have a companion book where I can kind of go into more depth. You know, I've got a literary bent, you know, and a lot of my videos kind of have this sort of more vaulted language. And I'd written something this morning. I got up early and went to Starbucks, and I'd written about a page that was going to be used in today's video. But it just doesn't work in this YouTube short format form. I think in a feature film, it'll work better. But for now, it is just this kind of vlog in the moment form. So I'm just saying all that to say, I know it doesn't look like there's much going on my channel right now, but there's a lot going on in our life. We're hoping to make something, and I will do this. We're gonna have a feature-length documentary, and we will have some form of nonfiction book to go along with it. That is my best attempt at this point in my life to diagnose this problem, this manic depressive, anxious, suicidal thoughts sort of situation. My best guess as to what has helped me, my best guess as to what could help somebody else. Going back and forth, I was gonna think about doing a podcast. It just takes too much to work to edit this podcast. I cannot budget it in addition to doing other stuff. I would much rather give a fully formed feature-length documentary at the end of this year, along with the best thing that I've ever written. So I'd like those two things to be able to be the product that I give at the end of the year. If that sounds of interest to you, please do consider donating to the Patreon. I've got it linked below. Thank you for your patience. Those of you who had stuck around on Patreon, I am kind of bleeding patrons at this point, mainly because, again, they started when I was in India, and so I totally understand. Like, if this is not where you're going, do think about coming back, though, later on. What my goal, the long term, the 5-year goal here, is to make a documentary a year. I'm committed to this. Like, I'm not turning back on this. I'm gonna make my own, produce my own. I'm not going for sponsors or anything else with these things. Melissa might come on and help me, provided, you know, we get enough of viewership where it might look like we could, to get sponsored by someone we actually believe in. Like, we think that their product or service or whatever is actually going to help people. It's not just some shilling or selling out just for money. Something that we buy, you know, something that we avail ourselves of. And the tentative goal, the 5-year goal here for that, is next year I want to do a documentary about my dad's life, where I kind of teased a little bit of that out in the beginning of this Building a Better Me. That part, you know, where he's talking about his history with polio. I want to do just a whole documentary on his story because I think it's going to be a good follow-up to Building a Better Me. My dad lived a criminal life, and I think it's something we really need to, as a nation, think through. What are solutions to this? You know, Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, they don't work for everyone. Not every program ends up working for everyone. Some people find God and that gets them out of the thing, but it does not work for everyone. There has to be a better way to help people who have a criminal past and to get them back to not just becoming contributing members of society, but healed members of society, like who feel redeemed. They do not feel useless and cast aside. So that's the next year plan. Until next time, stay strong, stay glorious. Keep going. If you're having a hard time doing any of those things, just hold on. Hold on. You're gonna get a glimpse through the fog. I mean, I got my glimpse through the fog 2 weeks ago, and already I was ready to quit. But you just gotta hold on. The future is bright in its own way. We just gotta hold on.